So with that, I'll pass it over to Dave.
Good afternoon. You know, it was 1990, and I was a young environmental activist on campus at the University of Colorado working toward my degree in environmental conservation. And that day I was volunteering for a campus environmental group, doing a 2-hour shift at a table on campus. We were trying to educate other students about the cruel and inhumane use of steel jaw leg hold traps. Remember what those are? And it often seemed like our efforts didn't have much of an impact. But that day, a young woman came along. She had long blonde hair and a hippie skirt. And the old rusty trap on the table caught her attention. So she stopped. She signed up for our student group. We became friends. She later became president of the student group. We graduated, went our own ways, and lost touch. About 6 years later, I got a phone call out of the blue, and it was her. Her name was Catherine, and she was here in Washington State. And it turns out after college, Catherine had gone to work for a conservation organization, and she had been traveling state to state to state, running citizen ballot measures. And that year, she was in Washington State, running a citizen ballot measure that passed, and which has forever banned the use of steel jaw leg hold traps in Washington State. That is the power that each and every one of you have. You have the vision, you have the values, you have the passion to make a difference. But I know it often feels like our efforts don't have an impact. But let me tell you this, they do have an impact. We've seen the impact of our efforts, our actions, and our work together. We've seen it right here in Whatcom County, where your efforts led to the pause of numerous forest sales, such as the Bessie sale and the Upper Rutsats and more. And the election of a fabulous county council member, Kaylee Galloway, who's here with us today. And huge shout out to Alex Harris at Resources and to Brel Phoebe at Center for Responsible Forestry, not just for their local leadership, but for also putting together this awesome rally today. Thanks to them. We've seen the impact in Thurston County, all the way down in Thurston County, where activists forged a relationship with some courageous county leaders and stopped the smuggler timber sale. And as was noted most recently, we've seen the impact of our work together in King County, where I have the pleasure of serving as chair of the King County Council. In King County, the State Department of Resources put up for auction 102 acres of mature legacy forest called the Wishbone Timber Sale. And working together with conservation organizations and activists, we were able to get a majority of my colleagues on the King County Council to join me in asking the state to halt the sale. The result, the Wishbone Timber Sale has been paused. Yeah. And even better yet, we adopted a policy in King County now to oppose the harvest of any mature legacy forest within our borders. That is what is possible through your activism, and that's what's possible when strong leaders have the courage to stand up to the timber industry. You know, in the ancient pantheon of Roman gods, there's a god named Janus, and Janus has two faces. One face looks to the past, the other face looks to the future. And we've had noteworthy victories in this movement in the past, but today at this rally, our vision is strongly focused on our future, and it is a future where we save, not destroy, our mature legacy forests. As Alex noted, these naturally regenerated, structurally diverse forests are on the way to becoming old growth. And I don't think this is too much to ask, do you? The state owns 2 million acres of state forest lands, and these mature legacy forests might be 3%. But even though they represent a small part of the state forest lands, they have an outsized impact on our climate. They store the most carbon, they have the most biodiversity. Our state needs to preserve all of our mature legacy forests, period, full stop. And our vision here today of our future clearly sees the preservation of mature forests, but the vision is grander, it is larger, it sees more. Our vision sees a Washington where all 2 million acres of our state forest lands are managed with the climate crisis in mind. And yes, we can do this and still nurture rural economies, create good jobs, and provide for the services that people need. And almost exactly 1 year ago, the state Supreme Court made it clear, yes, we can manage these forests for a myriad of public benefits, not just maximize the short-term money from timber harvests. These forests don't belong to the timber industry. These forests belong to we the people. These are public lands. These are our lands. Whose lands? Our lands. Whose lands? Our lands. We just need leadership. You know, you've heard me use some words: vision, values, passion, leadership. I'll add one more word to describe what I see here in this audience tonight. And that word is this: justice. A strong sense of justice. We don't do this work to save the trees for a tree's sake. We do this work because of the impact that the forests, or lack of forests, have on people, now and future generations. Wisely managing our forest lands, protecting our legacy forests, helping fight climate change is part of a broader movement for justice. Like most of you here today, I've tried to make justice a guiding principle in my life. You know, I came out of the closet the year I first ran for office. And my mentor, but my mentor at the time, she said, "I love you, Dave, but it's too bad because now you can't run for office." This was a long time ago. And the thought of an out gay legislator deep in working class suburbs was unheard of at the time. But I decided to do it. I ran, I won, and made history as the first out LGBT legislator outside the city of Seattle in the history of our state. And I share this because what drove me then still drives me today, and it should drive all of us: a passion for justice, LGBT equality, racial equality, gender equality, fighting for tribal treaty rights, labor rights. And when it comes to our public lands, environmental justice means recognizing that climate change disproportionately impacts low-income communities and communities of color, and that's why those communities must be involved in designing our solutions. Yep. Environmental justice also means honoring and respecting tribal treaty rights and strengthening the co-management role of tribal governments. So as we fight for our climate and for our forests, let's recommit ourselves to doing so in a way that upholds that value of justice. You know, when I think of the challenges and obstacles that this movement faces today, I can't help but think of my father. About 15 years ago, my father unexpectedly lost his vision. He went blind. And one morning a few summers back, I set my alarm clock for 4:30 in the morning, scooped my dad up, we drove up to the city of Seattle, and we jumped in the cold water of Lake Washington, and we swam a half a mile. Then we got on a tandem bicycle, you know, those bicycles built for two, and we pedaled 12 and a half miles. And then with my dad at my side, we ran a 5K. And my father, at age 75 and blind, successfully completed Seattle's Seafair Triathlon. Here's to Dad. Yeah. And as we came across the finish line that morning, I realized my dad was demonstrating a powerful truth, and it is this: working together, we can overcome any obstacle. From right here in Whatcom County to my home in King County, from Jefferson County to Thurston County, from Clallam County to the Idaho border, we are going to continue to work together. We will organize together. We will fight together to protect our legacy forests and remind our leaders that in order to have good jobs and a strong economy, we need to keep Washington State a great place to live. Thank you, Whatcom County, for the warm welcome. I love you. Keep up the fight.